doing tonight? I'm doing great. Coming from Hanging with Huxley headquarters here in downtown Vancouver. Well, on the outer edges. I should insert a little drone footage here, because when COVID hit, like, I'm not allowed to fly the drone, or I have a basic license, but I'm not allowed to fly it downtown here. That's like a $25,000 fine. But when COVID hit, helicopters, everything was grounded. So, boom, off the Hux took his drone right off the balcony, and I had 4K footage flying right down towards the city, then banking around left over Granville Island. It was fantastic. It was some great shots. And the sun was setting. I got a really good story to tell you. Let me say it was probably about 2015. I'll corroborate that date. I'll put it up on the screen when I find out. I have a habit of telling my stories and not know what the dates are and all, and then I got to add the text. But that's okay. It all works, right? Anyway. So this would be about, just say 2010, just roughly. And I got hired to shoot the Rancho Mirage, the Westin Mission Hills in Rancho Mirage, California. That's like where Palm Springs and everything is, La Quinta and all those places. Mission Hills has, the Westin Mission Hills has two golf courses, a signature Gary Player, beautiful golf course, and a Pete Dye course. Wow, I mean, what two great architects to have. Two great golf courses. And the guy that I told you about before, I don't know if I've told the story yet, but the guy that got me to come down and shoot Vince Gill, the famous country star now with the Eagles, at Furry Creek, he was the marketing guy. And when he left that job, he actually went down to be the marketing guy at the Westin Mission Hills in Rancho Mirage. And I knew all this, and we kind of kept in touch. He's a real nice guy. I really liked him a lot. We had a nice relationship, Michael McLeod and I did. Anyways, this would be like 10, 12 years after we actually met. So I happened to be in Palm Springs. I went over, hooked up with him, had lunch with him, and said, congratulations on your job, great job, beautiful things. And I said, I'd love to photograph the courses. And he said, yeah, well, we wrote playing golf. That's what it was. I said, oh, I'd love to shoot these magnificent courses. And he said, yeah, let's get you to do that. And he says, and then we play another hole, and then all of a sudden he says, so what would you charge me to shoot both courses? I said, oh, that's a lot of work. But I said, I'll give you a good price, because he did help me when I went off and did all the pro stuff from about 97 or 8 for about 12 years, where I worked with Freddie Couples and Phil Mickelson and Greg Norman and Nick Faldo and Paul Azinger and David Faraday and Rocco Mediate, John Daly, Annika Storrs. I mean, the names just keep going. I'm sorry, it gets a bit monotonous, but he was the one that introduced me to the very first one that I did. Then I got to work for these people from IMG out of New York for the next 10, 12 years. Boy, did they have some big accounts, SAP, Dow Chemicals, Cigna Insurance, and they all did corporate golf. I'm getting way off track, but anyways. So yeah, that was... So anyway, so he hires me, and so I said, okay, I'll be down whenever it was. Say the beginning of May, whatever. I wanted the heat to stop. Maybe it was September. I really, honestly, I don't remember. But and I took Karen down. We flew down, and he put me up at the Westin for a week, like free of charge, all free food for both Karen and I. It was great. And so I shot the 2 golf courses, and we were so cozy there, Karen and I, and the weather was nice and hot down there. I said, okay, I'm finished now. We were supposed to check out that afternoon. I said, gee, I'd really like to stay like another 3 weeks. I said, have you got Like, you got anything here for me? And it wasn't shoulder season. It was in season, I want to say that. And he said, listen, Bob, he said, for you stay in that place that you're at. It was a nice little, almost like a condo, not in the hotel part, off like a finger off the hotel kind of thing. It had its own pool and everything. It was very cool. And he said, listen, I'll give you a staff rate. And I think it was like $75 a night. The place was probably $500 a night or something. So Karen and I stayed there for 3 weeks. We had a great time, actually. We just had a great time. Hung around the pool and had our bikes with us. We were cycling up. Palm Springs, I got to say, is one of the best places to cycle ever. Anyways, I'm getting away from the story. So while I was there, the LPGA had their opening major, what used to be the Dinah Shore. That was that was the U.S. Open, the first ladies major. And then it turned into something else, but I think it was ANA Inspiration. I don't know if it's Inspiration. That's airlines out of Japan. ANA, A-N-A. I think there's a name for it. Anyways, I think they're out of Japan. Anyways, so that night, all the sponsors hosted a big party at the Westin Mission Hills where Karen and I were staying. And Michael says, why don't you come as my guest? I said, oh, that'd be fantastic. So Karen and I get all dressed up. And it's a beautiful big patio. It's like, 78 degrees out still. And, it's beautiful. It's the desert. It does cool down a bit, but it's still beautiful. Anyways, the place was packed. Michelle Wee was there, and Annika Sorenstam, and Stacey Lewis, Paula Creamer. I'm trying to think of all the LPGA stars. So many great. Lydia Ko. I'm sorry if I forgot names. There's Brooke Henderson. I don't know if Brooke was cooking then. But anyways, so they were out in the patio, and there was celebrities everywhere. They'd come over from LA. This is a big deal. This was the big schmooze fest. The night before, like the Pro-Am is that day. So you got all these Hollywood stars and everybody there to play, and they pay big money. So they had a house band that was unbelievable from LA. And as luck would have it, who was there but Don Felder, who wrote Hotel California when he was with the Eagles. And he got up and he played like 3 or 4 songs, and they were bang on. They were Eagles songs, and he wrote them, so he's allowed to sing them. And so that was great. Then they had another little break, and then up came Robbie Krieger. And if you remember who he is, he's the guy that wrote Set the night on fire. Come on, baby, light my fire. Try to set the night on fire. Anyways, so I went over and shook his hand after he kind of spoke. I don't think he might have played. Actually, he did. He didn't play Light My Fire, but I think he got up and played with Donnie Felden. And so I went over and got my picture with him after and shook his hand. I said, I'm a bit of a musician, just a hack. And I said, but I played Light My Fire all through my teen years and all that. I said, love that song. I can't believe you wrote that. Thank you very much, And then next up came Alice Cooper. And anyways, before Alice Cooper came on, because he's a big golfer too, I said to Karen, and we had a table right up front. They're all white tablecloths, right? Because you book that. Of course, I knew Michael, the head of marketing. So we had a table right in front of the little dance floor, and the band's 30 feet away, which was fantastic. And anyway, so I said to Karen, I'll go up and get us a bar. So they had a outdoor bar situated up there. And I go up there, and I line up for a second, and then I get my beers, and I turn around, and who do I almost bump into but Larry David? I tell you, I love that guy. That's the guy that wrote Seinfeld with Jerry Seinfeld and did Curb Your Enthusiasm. So there I'm holding the 2 glasses, and I go, oh my God, Larry David. And I'm like a foot away from him, And he said, yeah. I go, wow. I said, what? And I said, I got to have a photo. And lore has it that he hates going to these public things. He hates mixing with people, just like his Curb Your Enthusiasm character, really. He just hates doing all that kind of shit. He hates schmoozing with people. Anyways, he was very gracious, and he said, yeah, here. And he looked at his manager, and he said, here, take a picture of us. And he put the drinks down on the table, and he got in, and he pointed. I've got the picture. I'll post it now. And he had his finger pointing up at me. We both had kind of good looks on our faces, and so that was fantastic. I said, oh, what a pleasure. Thank you so much. Yeah. He said, yeah, all right. And then he turns his back on me like, yeah, okay, I've had enough of you, buddy. So then I go back to the table carrying the 2 drinks, and I sit down, I look at Karen, I go, how you doing, beautiful? And she says, that's great. So I bring out my phone, and I said, look what I just got. Look who I just met. Well, I put on the phone, and up it comes, and she goes, no. You met Larry David? Are you just kidding me? You're trying to hurt me, right? I said, no. Just right now. She says, well, I got to get his picture, too. I said, well, I don't know if I want to go back and bug him. He's a bit, he doesn't like that kind of stuff. Oh, Karen says, I have to have a picture. So I said, okay, let's go. So I grab her hand, I take her back up to where Larry David is. He's still kind of in front of the bar talking to his manager and somebody else, some other famous dude, I forget who, Richard Lewis or something. But anyways, and I tapped him on the shoulder. That's right, his back was to me. And he turned around and he goes, not you again. What do you want now? And then he spotted my Karen, who was always one of the prettiest girls at any affair. Most of the time was the most beautiful woman. Always turned herself out just so fabulously. She was a head turner, my wife Karen. Beautiful, beautiful girl. Anyway, so I said, well, my wife Karen here, this is Larry David. She goes, oh, nice to meet you. And all of a sudden, the world stands still for Larry David. I said, she's jealous of the picture I got with you, and she really wants a picture. And he said, oh, no problem at all. Says to his manager, here, hold my drink. He puts his arm around Karen and gives her a hug kind of thing, and I take the picture, and nice to meet you, Karen. And so off she went, and then he turns around and, okay, I've had enough of these people. We go back to our table, and Karen was just like, just in seventh heaven. So that was great. And to this day, I'm sorry, I have the photo of me and Larry, and me and Robbie Krieger, which I just posted. But for the life of me, I can't find Karen's photo. I should give it a bit of an effort. I haven't really spent a lot of time looking at it, but that was a great, great evening. Seeing Don Felder perform Hotel California, which one of my all-time favorite songs, a total classic. Robbie Krieger doing Light My Fire. The more I think about it, I think they did play Light My Fire, actually. And Alice Cooper playing his songs, and I don't even know his work, but... and meeting Larry David, that was the ice cap. Never mind meeting Michelle Wee and all those ones that I met. But so that was a great night. And I got more great stories from Palm Springs. Thanks for hanging with Huxley, and that was a fun episode, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye. Hasta la vista.